Welcome back. Just before the break, we were talking to our distinguished guest today about sport, football, and many other things. Shahneela Ahmad was awarded a football agent's license back in 2013. In January 2014, Independent wrote something about her, and I'm reading out a quote. The first Muslim woman to qualify as an FA-approved football agent, Shahneela Ahmad, has announced that she is on a mission to open up the sport to more female players and people from ethnic minorities. Shahneela, how do you see this, and almost 4 years down the lane, what has happened and what has been achieved and what has not been?
It's going to take a while before anything is actually achieved, but you are seeing more and more of the Asian countries getting more involved into the sports side. For example, India.
You've made it more popular, isn't it?
Well, I'm trying to make it popular, and I think some of the players who are in the English Premier League, Mohamed Salah, he's Asian. Obviously, he's encouraging other young Asian people to come into a sports field. And also, you've got the India Football League, and you've also got the women football in India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. So there is more recognition, and more of the teenagers are actually going into sports as well as education. So slowly it's a step in the right direction, but it will take time.
Well, it will take time, but how much do you anticipate, and how can the Asian families help?
Well, the Asian families can help by giving the child the support, because what you have to remember, if the child is good in sports and they get a scholarship with a club, education has to be provided for the child. So it's not all about playing on the pitch, holding a cricket bat. Education forms part of their training, so education services are provided to them. That's what the Asian parents need to understand.
When a child is picked up as a talented football player, what happens to him? I mean, who looks after his affairs?
The club normally signs up a scholarship for 2 years.
Right.
They'll have the education and the training is provided, and it's after the 2-year period the youngster will know whether or not the club is going to keep them or whether they're going to let them go. That's when
he still stays with his parents and goes to the club every day, or whenever it's possible.
There's a timetable which they have to follow.
And it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
2 years. It's 2 years. 2 year scholarship, and then after that, if the club feels that they can offer the player a contract, then the player is on a contract, which is 3 years. And if the club says we're not giving the player a contract, that means the youngster would have to get an agent. That's when the agents come in to see whether or not they can help him in order to find another club. And that's where some of the Asian youngsters give up, because if a club has let them go, they think that's it, their career's over, without following it through to the next stage. Yes, you're going to have your ups and downs, but it's called you can't give up on your dream, and a lot of our youngsters do give up, unfortunately.
Shahneela, you are possibly the only female Asian football agent, but what about male football agents?
There's quite a few now.
Quite a few?
Yeah, there's quite a few
and
now.
We still have a lack of Asian football players.
There are Asians in the football industry, but they come from all over the world. As you know, Africa, the European countries, but from India and Pakistan and the UK, there's probably very little.
Some particular countries in Africa, they seem to produce pretty good athletes and football players. How do you see that? I mean, why can't we?
Oh, well, I think our youngsters have always been told get an education, that's the problem. But now you're getting our generation, my generation, who are having children, encouraging their kids to go into sports as well, because now sports is being recognised as a career as well.
Back in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, you see the cricket and cricketers are glamorized. You see, they are like stars. We can produce 11 players of fantastic quality and level and standing, see. But we can't produce 11 football players, you see, in a nation of over 1 billion people.
Give it time, it will change, especially with the Indian Super League, which is now up and running in India, because they're now trying to promote the football side as well now. and not just India, Pakistan trying to do the same as well. And especially you've seen the women now coming out playing football in the World Cup as well, so that in itself is an incentive.
I think in Europe and the Americas, football is the game. You see, people are crazy. Of course, baseball and basketball is there in the US, but in Asia, mostly the former colonies of Britain, see, they love to play cricket, see, because cricket is something like a gentleman's game. See, it used to be, but now there are all kinds of people are playing cricket. But football seems to have, it's been like it's not everybody's game. You see, only gentlemen don't go because they become dirty, they get wet and all that, and they're not dressed well, they're wearing shorts and t-shirts.
It will change. Give it a few years, especially here in England. Things are changing slowly but surely.
So do you think that the popularity of cricket is on decline?
Well, the cricket is mainly the older generation, forgive me, because that's what they were all into. But now you've got the new sports, which is the football, and if you go to any of the games, you see a lot of the Asian male and female now supporting the various teams which are in the league now. So you will get more and more youngsters going into football, and also there's the academies which are in certain parts of the UK where they are encouraging the young Asian lads to play football. Right. So that will happen eventually as well.
And football should be more popular because it's a pretty cheap game, see.
Well, it's not cheap when it comes to going to the actual games. It's very expensive.
The actual game is different, you see, but anybody can play with one football and 22 players, you see, kick it around, you see. But cricket, you need balls, you need wickets, you need bats.
Yes.
And a pitch, see,
yes.
Which is, but football can be played on sea beach, see, or even on rough terrain it can be, but cricket needs a pitch and fully nicely dressed, clean clothes.
They don't like getting dirty. And they don't like the rain.
Yeah. But because it's played in summer, so rain is there.
Yes.
Or the threat of rain is there. So cricket is played in summer here, and cricket is played in winter in Asian countries. We were talking about the World Cup coming up next year, and you said that you will hate to predict who is going to win or what, but how to improve the general level of English football? I'm not talking about Asians or Muslims, and the general level, see, because we don't seem to be in the top league of the world.
That's going to be down to the individual clubs, like I was saying earlier during the break. You've got the homegrown talent. You need to enhance the homegrown talent and be allowing them to play more games as opposed to buying foreign players and bringing them and making them play in your teams. That's the only way the England team will do very well. It's the recognition of recognising the homegrown talent here in the UK as a whole.
Football has received much encouragement and impetus because of this English Premier League, you see. You go anywhere in the world, see, and people come across, or even on Facebook or emails, you see, which club do you support, you see? And people living thousands of miles away from England, see, they are supporting Manchester United or or Manchester City or Liverpool or Arsenal or Chelsea. This is quite a crazy, unimaginable, I can't understand that somebody who has never been to England, never seen Chelsea, see, they support Chelsea, they support Arsenal, they support Man United. See, how can you see? This is the extreme popularity of the game, isn't it?
It's the broadcasting. Yes, it's the commercial deals. It goes worldwide. That's why so many games are shown on TV. And with Sky Sports, BT Sports, with all the rights that they've got, that's how their commercial deals and so much media attention they get. That's why it's one of the most recognised games in the world. And that's why a lot of people have their own clubs which they support. They hold on to. So yes.
Isn't that one way of promoting the games in our own country?
Well, that's what they're trying to do, and obviously that will happen. That's what's happened because they do. People do watch.
They're doing more for cricket. rather than football.
But what you have to remember, our countries have always shown cricket, not football. But I think they're sort of slightly steering away from just concentrating on the cricket side, but now on the football side as well. So that is happening, but slowly.
People seem to be uninterested these days in cricket because after 5 days of a test match, it's a draw.
Well, I think it's the patience. They haven't got the patience to actually sit there for 5 days. They like the 20-20 overs, which isn't too bad.
Yes. It gives you a result. You go home.
You go home.
You enjoy it.
But it's the 5 days, which are the slow ones, which that's probably why. And it's like you said, it's the gentleman's game.
Yes, of course. I mean, they didn't want to win or lose. They enjoyed the time.
True.
And that is how we came to Ashes and losing the Ashes. As somebody wrote in one of the papers that ashes to ashes.
Yes.
But he didn't write dust to dust, and thank God for that. You would like to bring in more female athletes, football players to the forefront, see. Now, as a football agent, somebody who has been in this business for some time, how would you like to advise the younger people who are watching this show, looking up to you?
Well, what I would say to the youngsters and their parents, because they come as a package, is if you have a talented child, it doesn't have to be just in football, who is a cricketer, boxer, anything. If you need any advice and assistance, because obviously if you're not familiar with how to go about getting the recognition or getting the right help, then by all means they can contact me on my website. There's an email address which is platinumfa.co.uk. Then we can point them in the right direction, because what you have to remember is it's moving the youngster to the next stage. How do we get him into a club? What is the next stage? That's where the parents are a bit of a loss, because how do I send my son to do a trial at a club? That process can be explained to them, and same with any other youngster in whatever field, because we work with other people from different sports. So if it was a boxer, if it was a cricketer, we would refer them to them to speak to the parents and to give them the guidance and support.
To be a football player, you need to have a good physique, good mental balance, coordination of your limbs and joints. But what else?
Discipline.
Discipline.
Yes. And temper control.
Temper control.
Yes.
Sometimes we see that people do lose some temper control, even at the very highest level.
But that's where you get the agent who acts as a third parent to the child. If I'm looking after a footballer, you're not just there planning their future, you're also looking after them as a coach would. You're like a mentor to them. If they have any issues, you'll give them the guidance and support, because they might be good on the pitch, it's the other support what they need on the outside. They might need your help in certain areas. That's what you would advise and assist them with.
How do you see politicizing the sport? Like in some games, people come up with strange badges or headgear or something.
Are you on about the tattoos?
Not just tattoo, but a strap or a band or something, showing like what they did in America. See, the people sat down when national anthem was played, you see. Well,
that's why you have the certain governing bodies who are in charge of that. We don't get involved in that, but that's the FA who'd be involved in that, not me as a football agent, or it'd be down to the manager.
Watching it, yes.
Yeah, you'd be watching it, but it'd be down to the club itself as well as the governing body to deal with that aspect.
They will will they be disciplined?
Yes, there are sanctions which they would deal with, yes.
Great, it was great having you, Shahneela.
Thank you so much for having me again.
And thank you for traveling all the way from Windsor, and despite the bad weather, the congested traffic ways, highways, and particularly during the Christmas time.
Yes, Christmas rush, yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hafiz.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this program, and we hope that you've enjoyed the show as much as we have, and keep watching football, keep watching Shahneela's good work, and we'll meet again next week, same time, same channel. In the meantime, Take care.